the ground in the early morning, I ask myself 3 questions. What am I doing? What's working? And what's not working? Leadership is changing all over the world. The pulse of leadership is rising like never before. To me, leadership is about presence, impact, and results. You see, I started off by saying, what are you doing? What's working? What's not working? And the reason why in the early morning I ask myself those 3 questions is they very quickly help me to focus for the day ahead. But also, they take me to the essence of presence. Your presence says everything about you. You don't even need to open your mouth. And I remember growing up in Southern Ireland. I grew up in a country estate owned by Lord Delapour Beresford. And I learned about presence at an early age. I can now, as I look back, even remember at 6 and 7 years of age, I can remember riding my bike through the estate and stopping on the way home from school under the oak tree. And I would sit under the oak tree and something, that presence all around me and within me, something even then as a young child was saying to me, speak. Speak. Speak to the open field. Speak. Just speak. And even then, I realize inside me now, just like something is inside in you, something of a deeper calling was already being born. I didn't know what it was. I was 6 or 7. But even then, so what does your presence say about you? What does the essence of your presence say about you? On a scale of 1 to 10, how approachable are you as a human being? Because you see, the whole thing about leadership is, if you are not approachable, how can people get behind you? To me, leadership of the future is not about creating more followers. It's about creating more leaders. Leadership of the future is about encouraging everybody to be the CEO of their own job. I encourage you to spend some time in the early morning. Can I have a show of hands here? How many people take thinking time each day? Thinking time in their diary. Great, excellent. Because it's in that thinking time that the essence of your presence can come forth and tell you where you go next in the world. And my gosh, the world, like never before, needs more leaders. But the world, the pulse around the world there's a new pulse. There's a pulse of transparency, authenticity and integrity, just emerging very, very gently. Very, very gently. So if you're called right now to lead in any way in the world, I encourage you to lead and to find the greatness that is within inside yourself. How many people here, can I have a show of hands, has a to-do list? How many people have a to-do list every day? We're great doers, but maybe it's time to stop and just be. Maybe it's time to add a stop doing list. Now, that was one of the things I researched when I looked at leadership. Outstanding leaders are great at cutting the outside noise out. I'm saying to you, cut the outside noise out every day. And follow your passion. Follow that call. Follow that purpose. And to do that, you have to take thinking time. You also have to have a stop doing list, because sometimes we continue to do what doesn't work anymore. And isn't that what has got our world in the challenges that it is today? Because outstanding leadership is about being courageous. It's about stepping out like never before. You know, I have a saying, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Every day I want you to ask yourself, what if? And I mean what if up, not what if down. What if I was to do today that one thing that's trying to emerge in me today? What direction would it take me today? I remember recently telling my daughter, I said to my daughter, what if I went into your school and what if I spoke to you all in the class? And she said, Mum, I'd leave. So be careful who you ask the what if to. But I encourage you to write that down on a piece of paper. What if? What if you did that which is inside in you? What if you let it emerge? Because you see, too many people I know across the world, they go to the grave with the music still inside in them. I'm saying to you here today, bring that music out. Let it out, whatever that music is. You know, life is just one short moment. Live it. Find your core purpose. Find what it is that's inside in you, that's calling you to lead in whatever area of your life. And then every day, craft it just another bit. The other thing, as I work with corporates across the world, I find that outstanding leaders, they're very focused. It's almost like a Zen-like focus. And they focus on 2 to 3 things, not 10 to 15 things. And then every day, in some small way, you do at least 2 to 3 things that takes you in the direction of where you're called in your life. You know, as I travel the world, I say to people, I'm a very ordinary woman, but I live an extraordinary life. And I live an extraordinary life because why? Because I was the woman that actually from an early age that sat under the oak tree began to listen to that quietness of that presence inside in me. And that quietness of that presence inside in you, I also call it the inner sat-nav. We have all got an inner sat-nav. That's an inner guidance system that continually guides you every day of your life. I remember in 2003, I'd had early morning thinking time. And for some reason, I don't even know why today, the United Nations came into my mind. In that time, I didn't know anybody at the United Nations. I knew nobody. And I remember my PA coming in at 9 o'clock that morning, and I told her about what had happened, and she said, Molly, will I put it up on our storyboard? I said, yes, put it up on the storyboard. Little did I know that 2 years later, I would end up studying in New York under Dr. Jean Houston. And as I was studying upstate in New York with Dr. Jean Houston, I ended up one morning sitting at a breakfast table just with a load of women from around the world. And I'd had a dream the night before. And the dream was another part of the vision of what I had to do in my life. It was to set up soul schools around the world of science and soul. And I remember when they came to me and I said, my name is Molly and I don't really want to talk right now. I've had a dream and I'm processing this dream. And they said, well, tell us a bit about it, Molly. And I began to tell them a little bit about the dream. And then when I'd finished, there was a lady across the table, and she put her business card across the table, and she said, I'd like to speak to you. I'm Dr. Annalie the Hyges. I'd like you to come and speak to the United Nations in New York. We're going to be calling all the young world leaders together. So that's why I'm telling you, trust that inner sat-nav. Listen to it. But sometimes to trust the inner sat-nav, you have to bypass the mind. and trust whatever that pulse is. And that's what outstanding leaders, again, are very, very good at doing. They're very, very good at trusting the inner sat-nav. I believe that Richard Branson, within 60 seconds of just shaking hands with someone, he already knows, will they make a good business partner or not? And you think of the Virgin umbrella. There's 300 businesses under that Virgin umbrella. Just 60 seconds. And he already knows whether that person would be a good business partner or not. So how much are you trusting it every day? How are you leading out every day? What does leadership mean to you? As you leave a room, what's your impact? Because you do leave an impact. The resonance of your presence leaves that impact. I learned a lot about being real as a person and real as a leader from my own mother. My father passed over when I was 36 years of age. And my mother, within a few months, had to go into the dentist and had to have all her teeth removed. And then I was a young girl at the time, but I did notice that she only ever wore her teeth for weddings, christenings, and funerals. That was the only time they ever went back in. And I remember as I got to 18 and 19, I said, "Mammy, put your teeth in." And she said those wise words to me. She said, "I don't need my teeth to be real." And that's the other thing I find about outstanding leaders. They're easy to be around. Are you easy to be around in the essence of your own presence? Do you show up every day? Or are you just living through the day, not really there? Because, you know, life is a funny thing. Life doesn't give you what you want. Life gives you who and what you are. Who and what are you? What are you becoming? Every day that you spend another day here, what and who are you becoming? What's working in your life right now? Have you ever stopped to just sit and think, what is working? I travel the world very simply with 2 books. One is a journal which keeps the journal of my vision. The vision that of what I've got to do before I leave here on the planet. And for me, it's a big mission that I hope and will outlive me. It's to reach 333 million people on the planet, to encourage them to be leaders, to encourage them to step up and step forth like never before. And then the second book that I take everywhere with me, and I've many, many of these books, this is what I call the thinking journal. I'd encourage yourself to buy yourself a thinking journal. Carry that everywhere with you. Use it every day of your life. Use it, carry it with you. And in your quiet times, take a moment. In the morning, on the train, wherever you are, open it and use it. Bring it back to who you are as a human being. Because you see, I want you all right now just to look at your thumb and know that nobody else in this world will ever come this way again that will have your thumbprint. You have greatness inside in you. Let that greatness out. Touch it, embrace it, and own it. I'm a passionate reader. And one of the people I really love to read is Krishnamurti. And he speaks about valley people and mountain people. And he said, we're born into the valley. 7 billion amongst us were here in the valley. And then as we grow and as we develop, we head for the mountains. There is something inside in us saying, climb, Climb, go for the mountains. But along the way in the valley of life, people say, don't go near those mountains. Not good, don't climb. And that's when some of you put your dreams away. You put the essence of who you are away, the essence of your presence away. But then now and again, that calling emerges again and says, no, climb, climb, head for the mountains. And as I look out at you today, many people are already on the mountain. You've got the picket fence, you've got the lovely house. You've even got the chickens. And you know what Krishnamurti says? No, 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 no. He says, you must knock the house. Knock the fence. He said, kill the chickens. There's a calling inside of you. Climb. I encourage you to climb. I encourage you to step up and step forth and be the leaders you're born to be. And every morning, as your feet touch the ground, ask yourself 3 questions. What am I doing? What's working? What's not working? Thank you.